What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of FitBizU. I'm your host, Jill Coleman. And everything you need to know about me is that I bought a new microphone and whole podcast setup like a month ago, and it is still sitting in the box. Shout out to Courtney for hooking me up with some new gear. And yeah, I will just go to the next thing. Actually, this does sort of tie into today's episode. Today's episode is about creating space to make big decisions in your business and working on your business rather than just in your business. Now, I remember my first business mentor, shared this with me, and she was like, you need to be working on your business, not in your business. At the time, I had no idea what she's talking about. I was literally like, I don't understand that concept, because I was a full-time personal trainer. And I felt like I was like, well, working is working, right? If I'm doing something, if I'm working at all in my business, I'm working in my business. Like that's what I do. So I didn't understand the difference between working on your business versus working in your business. Now, I want to make this super clear. We've actually done an episode on this, but it was a while back. But I want to give you this distinction and you'll totally understand what I'm saying. If you are delivering on a product or service that you sold, right? You sold a coaching package, you have personal training clients, you're teaching a fitness class, anything where you are writing people's programs, you're setting someone's macros, anything where you are doing client facing stuff, you're delivering workshops, you're showing up to calls, whatever that is. If you are delivering on a service, you are working in your business. You're working in your business because you are delivering. Now, we need to do this. This is how we make money. We have to deliver on the service that we promised. The problem is most people only work in their business. So when I was a personal trainer and I'm working at a gym full time and I'm personal training and teaching group classes, I'm at the gym probably 70 to 8 hours a week. And the problem was that because I had so much client facing work and things that I was doing for my clients, I didn't have much time to work on the bigger picture stuff of the business. So, for example, working on my business would be something like planning out a launch, or I don't know, writing sales emails, or making big decisions in the business, or finishing a sales page. So, what happens is most people focus on delivering the service that they sold to the point where at the end of the night or the end of the week, or they wait to the last second to then do the thing that actually moves the business forward. This can be planning. This can be, just thinking through stuff, especially if you are trying to launch a program. You have to think about what are the hooks here? What's the messaging of this? How am I walking people towards a sale? Like I always tell my team, and I'll share, then goes into today's episode, which is like, how do you create space so that you have time to do this? Oftentimes when we are in like a go period at Jill Fit, there's not a lot of time to think strategically and to think contextually or to think about the messaging because I'm so caught up in the action items. I'm to do. I have a checklist of stuff I'm trying to get through so that by the time I'm like, I pull my head up and I'm like, where are we even going? And maybe if you are someone who is used to being busy, but you feel like you're not productive, you might get to the end of your week and you're like, I didn't do anything. Like, I don't have anything to show for it. I worked a lot and I'm exhausted, but I don't feel like I have any answers to the big picture or big dial movers that are going to help me move my business forward. So, a couple of things I want to share with you guys. And this is relevant because I shared with you guys that I was at my mastermind for the mastermind I'm in with Jasmine Star last week. And she actually did a presentation for us on how she creates space in her schedule. And y'all, this is someone who owns two multi 7-figure businesses. And the time for her was like 1 day per month. It was like 1 day per month. She has like time to herself. And I think that's great, but she has a lot on her plate, right? It's very common for her to record like 6 podcasts in a day or do like, 40 content videos in the same day, or like be traveling and doing keynotes or whatever. So she mentioned that she does one sort of day per month that she calls for white space. And I really think this is important because we don't realize how much time and energy it takes to just simply think about things. So I wanted to share with you guys today 3 ways that I at JillFit create more time to work on the big picture. And sometimes I forget because, I'm used to being a doer. I'm used to actioning things. You guys know that. Chances are, if you listen to this podcast, you are someone who is used to action or you want to be actioning things. In a way, it almost feels easier to just knock stuff off a to-do list, doesn't it? It's like, oh, I got to get the dry cleaning. I got to go to the store. I got to pick up this. I got to, get the dog groomed. I got to, like, it's easy to just check things off a list. And I was that person for a really long time. And it makes us feel like we are doing things, but it also keeps us from focusing on the big things that are going to move the business forward. It keeps us from doing those big projects. So maybe we keep putting off. Maybe we want to create a course. We keep putting it off. Maybe we're like, I know I need to do a content day. I keep putting it off. Maybe I know I need to book a photo shoot. I keep putting it off. I know I have a new product I want to launch. I keep putting it off. I want to do a webinar. I don't do it, right? I want to create a new PDF. I don't do it. So creating space in your calendar in some kind of cadence. I don't want you guys being like, oh, I have a vacation, so that's the week I'm going to do all of this big picture stuff. It's like, no, let the vacation be the vacation. How can we figure out a cadence that we can create what Jasmine called white space, or what I call time padding, within your schedule on a regular basis, because you do need time. And I want to validate this. If you did any kind of time for money, like personal training, fitness classes, you've been in the service industry, you're used to getting paid for your time. You're like, all right, I personal train someone for an hour, and for an hour, I got $100. And so it really, when you build your online business, as you guys know, you don't get paid for every single hour that you're working. And so it needs to make sense. So in a way, creating and carving out time to work on the big things in your business can feel a little bit like, why would I do that? I can just go get a new client. I can just personal train one more person. I can just, I can just post on social media again. Like, in order to create time or white space, or this, what I call time padding, you have to get out of the to-do list. The to-do list can't be it can't be the to-do list. It has to be on a day where the to-do list is not the thing. So the first one is what I call CEO days. And I got this concept from Felicia Romero. She came and talked at one of my mastermind calls. And I don't know that I think she got this from someone else as well. But a CEO day is a day where there are no calls. And so Jasmine was sort of talking about this when she was talking about having her white space. Having a CEO day at least once a month is a great place to start. This is where you have no meetings, no calls, no appointments, nothing on your schedule. It is a day every month that you get to take your time and think through stuff. So, for example, if I wake up and I know I don't have any calls on that day, like, I actually get a ton done because it doesn't really take all that long. I just got to sit down and look at stuff. The problem is when we have call after call after call, maybe you have 30 minutes, 15 minutes between a call, and it's not enough time to sit down and look at stuff. I tell this to Keith all the time. Like sometimes we'll be on vacation and he's like, what should we do? And I'm like, dude, I just got to look at stuff. It's kind of a joke. So I'm like, it's just fucking sit down and look at stuff for 3 hours. I just need to get my bearings. So having a CEO day, and you guys know this, I don't know, maybe you're the same as me. If I have a call at 1 in the afternoon, that's my entire day. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but from a psychological perspective, I in the morning, I'm like, okay, I got that call at 1. I got that call at 1. I got that call at 1. Then I do the call and I'm like, I just lose all the juice, right? I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. I need to go on a walk or something. So that's why having nothing on your schedule for one full day per month gives you not only the time, but more importantly, gives you the energetic space to really think about the high level questions in your business. Where are we going? What's our next offer? What makes sense launch wise? How do I want to message this new thing? And you need that time. So you can call it a CEO day. I actually try and do no calls on Monday. It kind of reminded me because I used to do no calls on Monday all the time, but little calls have been creeping up here and there, or I'll record a podcast, or little stuff's been happening on Mondays. And I've been getting out of the habit of blocking my Mondays. So when I had when Jasmine had this presentation last week, I immediately went to my calendar and blocked off. It won't be until May, but I immediately blocked off every Monday starting in May. So I was like, no calls. CEO day. So I'm going to start doing it once per week. If you can even start doing it once per month, which is just no calls, go and book it out on your calendar now, get ahead of it, and then stick to it. That's probably the hardest part. It's easy to put on your calendar. What's harder is sticking to it and not having any boundaries. Because I'll find myself, I do a podcast with Danny J, and we publish on Wednesdays. And so sometimes we just need an episode, and she'll be like, hey, when can we record? And I'll be like, oh, we can record on Monday. Cause I'm like, I have the whole day free. And then I'm like, why did I do that? Even though it's easy, even though it's like my best friend, even though it's not that big of a lift, it's still an appointment on my schedule, which is an energetic drain. Having an appointment on my schedule, as much as I love doing the podcast, as much as I love my clients, as much as I love teaching, it's still having something on your calendar as an energetic drain and keeping you from doing some of the big picture stuff. So having a CEO day at least once a month or once a week. I have also started doing something new similar to this in 2025. I think I started this late 2024. The last week of the month is a no call month. I mean, a no call week. The last week of every month is a no call week. And I'm not perfect with it, but I'm really trying to energetically keep the last week of the month to absolutely no calls. One of my mentors, Rachel Cosgrove, calls it mellow yellow time. She's like, 1 week a month is mellow yellow. And it's a way, again, energetically, because I do a lot of calls. And if you guys do calls and you do appointments and things like that, the energetics that it takes to show up and be present with your clients. And of course, you want to and you love your clients. So it's not an issue of like clients being draining. It's just the appointment is draining, the calls are draining, the messenger coaching is draining, right? And so having that 1 week of no calls at the end of the month not only gives me something to look forward to, because I'm definitely someone who's like a push hard, rest hard kind of person. Like I'll have just an entire week of like a shitload of like 3 hour calls, like a ton. And then I'm like, cool, but next week, no calls. And so it gives me something to look forward to. And it also fills up my energetic cup because I know every 4 weeks I have a no call week. Again, I'm not perfect with it, but I'm trying to get better. And I'm hoping that this will leverage as well into some of the big picture. And by the way, you guys, this stuff, creating white space, creating CEO days, creating days where you have no calls or weeks where you have no calls becomes more important as you have a team. I want to just say that because remember, the team is always looking to you for the vision. They're looking for you like where we're going. And if I have my head down and I'm grinding it out, then the team is going to feel that way too. And they're like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like, well, they need to see what the 30,000 foot view is. So I had this sort of realization at Jasmine's event last week that I was like, oh, I need way more time because my team needs direction. And if I don't have the direction, if I don't have the trajectory, I don't have the journey, I don't have the vision mapped out, then in a way, it's going to be hard for me to enroll them in the vision. They're like, well, are we just going to work? Is this a job? Or are we moving towards something? What's our mission? What are our objectives? Where are we going? What's our charge in the world? What are we championing? What's the big picture? Where do we see ourselves in 5 years? Now, I know it's hard sometimes to know, like, I don't even know. I'm just trying to survive this week. I don't know what 5 years looks like, Jill. But it's important as you have a team, like, this is where leadership comes in. If you don't have a team, no worries. Like you can just fucking grind it out yourself and be a solopreneur. But as you start bringing on team, they're looking to you for direction. And if I'm head down grinding, then no one is looking where we're going. And so it's really important as you start to scale that you start to prioritize this even more. The second way to create more time is time padding. Now, time padding is simply having block time in your schedule. You guys know this. I did an episode on this a couple of weeks ago. Creating either like bigger time chunks to get stuff done. So, for example, I always tend to think, oh, I have a social media post. I can knock that out in like 15 minutes. Y'all, a social media post is going to take me like minimum 30 to 40 minutes. And so I just need a little bit more time, again, not to actually physically or logistically do the thing, but to have time around the thing. Again, time for thinking. This is such a different way of working than working as someone who's in the service industry. When I was a personal trainer, I would train up to 12 clients a day. And I would teach up to like two, sometimes three, four, maybe four classes a day, fitness classes. And for me, it was just a series of checkoffs, right? Check, 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 check. I could have personally trained my clients with my eyes closed. I loved my clients. I got paid well. I worked a lot. And I did not get anything done. at all. I checked the box, I saw the client, but I didn't have any time to think about stuff. So a lot of times when people start their online business, they are so used to the to-do lists, and they're so used to, did I see my client? Yes or no? Right? Did I do all the things on my to-do list, that they forget that you have to have time to be creative. And I never would have called myself a creative person. Like, people are like, are you creative? I'm like, I don't know. You just like do these little quizzes and, personality tests and stuff. And I never thought I was creative. Now you have to be, because you have to think of, you need idea generation time. You need to think about, okay, what's the hook going to be for this next launch? What's the messaging here? How am I walking people towards a sale? What makes sense for social media if my goal is lead generation? What makes sense for my Instagram stories if I have this specific outcome? It's almost like you have to reverse engineer the goal. And in order to do that, you need to think through stuff. And in order to think, you need time, and you need to maybe journal, and you need to write stuff out. Like, I use my notes app on my phone and on my computer to just like get my ideas down. Okay, well, how am I going to conceptualize this? How am I going to batch this? How am I going to message this? What's the packaging look like? Why should someone care about this? Anything, you have to really just figure out your messaging, your marketing, your sales strategy. All of that takes time padding. So instead of just thinking, "Oh, I'm going to knock out a social media like, I'm like, okay, I have to think about like, what makes sense as a post? What's the hook going to be? What's my goal with this post? Where am I trying to push people to?" And so time padding just is this way of creating more time and space in your schedule using something like block time. Block time is having I usually do 2-hour blocks at once. So my schedule, and I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but I'll just share with you my schedule. I pretty much work every Monday through Friday, and really on the weekends too, um, depending on where we're at in terms of our launch calendar, noon to 6. I don't usually start and sit down to my computer. I don't even open up my laptop until noon. And a lot of my calls are at noon. I usually don't book all that many calls before noon. I'll be on my phone, obviously, because I'll be scrolling on social and doing some recon and maybe putting some posts up and doing some messenger coaching with clients before noon. But I sit down at my computer at noon, and I do not sit there until 6 p.m. I normally work from like noon until about 3:30. I usually go for a little walk around 3:30 or 4, and then I sit back down. I have another time block, usually between like 4:30 to 6. So I do 2 time blocks with a little bit of break in between. And so I get down, I get a shitload of work done in a short amount of time. I usually keep this same schedule on the weekends if Keith is working and I'm also in the middle of a launch right now, like I am right now, working every day. But it's usually noon to 6. And so knowing that, okay, that's probably going to be 2 time blocks. Maybe I'll take a break in between. I'll eat, I'll take a walk, I'll get outside, whatever. I'll read fiction a little bit, and then I'll come back to it. I have a second block in the evening. It works for me. You don't need all that much time. You certainly do not need to sit at a desk for 8 hours. So time padding is giving yourself time around doing the thing to actually sit down and think. This is related to number one. The third way to create more time to work on your business rather than in it is to filter out and increase your prices. So I'm going to say increase your prices because maybe you've heard of the 80-20 rule, that like basically 80% of your 20% of your clients create 80% of your success, or however you want to think about it. And what I mean by that is there's probably some things in our business that are not leveraging. And for example, if you have a client who you're just like, you know what, it's not that this client is terrible, or it's not this client is a problem client. I just notice that 80% of my anxiety is coming from this one person, or 80% of my headache, or 80% of my work is coming from this one client, or this 20% of my clients. So it's not that there's something wrong with the client per se. It's just you're noticing that they're a little bit maybe higher maintenance, or maybe they just need more energetically from you. Maybe they just are messaging you all the time. And again, it's not that this person is necessarily bad, but they just maybe are taking a lot more bandwidth. I have a couple clients that like this right now, and my intention is to graduate them at some point, because I have a lot of clients. And when I look at all of my clients, it's really about 20% that are like, I don't want to say the biggest headache, but in a way, they just take up the majority of my energetic space. And again, it's nothing against them. It's just like that's the way they show up in the world. And I'm like, I also owning my own business, I don't have to, I'm not a martyr, right? I'm not out here being a martyr, like, oh, I need a person, I need to like go, I need to, you know, be miserable for this one client or this money I'm making. And I have to stay in abundance. So this is where I said increase your prices as a way to start weeding out the people who are maybe not the best fit. Now, it doesn't have to be increasing your prices. You can do what I have, which is like basically graduating clients or basically just saying like, hey, this isn't working out, or hey, this is maybe not a fit, or hey, this is just being, honestly, I would just say to a client, this is just too energetically taxing. It just is. Because I have a baseline, right? If you think about it like this, I'm sure you guys have this. If you're a personal trainer, I was very much this way. The baseline of all my clients was chill because I'm chill. I was just telling someone the other day, like I can count on like one hand how many times I've like reached out via text message to my coach. Now I get a lot from my mastermind that I'm in, but like I don't need a lot of hand holding. Like I'm just like I know I have a really strong intuition. I just know what I want to do, and I sometimes I'll like just have a couple quick questions, or maybe I'll like run something by him or something by the group. But for the most part, I already kind of know what I'm going to do, and I might just need a little pep talk or whatever. And so it's like not to say don't reach out, but I have a base level that I operate at. And I'll be honest with you, I attract a lot of those same kind of people who are chill, people who trust themselves, people who take massive action, people who are able to self manage. And so when I don't have that, it sticks out quite a bit. And so I go, well, I don't need to suffer if I don't need to necessarily suffer for this one client or two clients if they're not at the energetic level of everyone else. And again, it's not against them. There'd probably be another, believe me, there's plenty of coaches who love the chaos. There are plenty of coaches who love to be needed by their clients. There's plenty of coaches who love talking constantly with their clients. There's plenty of coaches who feel massive obligation and guilt if they don't get back to their clients within a second. But I attract really self sufficient clients just in general. I just do. I attract clients who are self sufficient, clients who make decisions and they fuck around and find out. Right? They're willing to go through it to find out. They want to debrief with me. But for the most part, they self manage. And maybe that's not necessarily coaching, but I don't believe that I need to suffer to be a coach. I just don't. I feel like there's a way that we can do this to get ahead of it. One of the things that I love, the sentiment I love, which is we teach people how to treat us. And like I'm not saying that the client is necessarily treating you poorly, but we teach people how to show up. That's my version. We teach people how to show up in my container. And so if you have a client or someone in your business that is not showing up in the way that you're like, yo, did you not get the memo? This is the vibe over here. You can fire them. Increasing your price might be a way to filter out clients who are not great fits. That's just one way. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can graduate clients, you can fire clients, but you have to get discerning on what you are willing to do. I had this realization as well, not even with clients, but I had this realization with some of the ways in which I deliver my programs. And I literally wrote down last week at my mastermind, like, I'm not doing this in 2026. I literally put a list of shit together. These are things I'm not doing in my business in 2026. And if you go around and ask people like, oh, like what should I do for this coaching program, or what should this include? Y'all, it's your business. You can do whatever you want. The deliverables can look however you want them to look. So if there's something that you dread doing in your business, now there's a difference between dread and just working hard at something, right? Right now I'm in a marathon of sprints. Like right now I'm in a marathon of sprints. That's just part of what we're doing right now in the business. And for me, I'm doing a lot of hard stuff. I'm doing a lot of hard stuff. I'm doing a lot of things that are taking time, but I'm not miserable. I don't dread it. I'm excited. It's a lot of stuff, but I'm excited for it. That's different. If there's parts of your business that you absolutely fucking dread, figure out a workaround. There are a million ways to arrive at success. You do not need to suffer for success. Do you have to work hard? Sure. Do you have to do sometimes things you don't want to do? Sure. Do you have to push through scary emotions, uncertainty, insecurity, discomfort zone? Yes. But you don't have to suffer for success. This is fucking ridiculous. And so, how do we create more time? We cut the extraneous stuff. And you have to be deliberate and you have to consciously think. And I think when we are so grinding it out in our business and our head is down, We don't even have the insight. We don't have the wherewithal that there are things in our business that we dread because we're just doing it, right? We're just doing the next thing, doing the next thing, doing the next thing. We don't stop to think, do I even want to operate like this? Do I even like doing this? We don't even have the time and space to evaluate that, which is why when you have something like a CEO day or a no call day or a no call week or whatever, it gives you that space to really think about what you want to do. Now, make no mistake, you have to deliver a service. So you have to figure out some way to get across your information. But if you're like, I don't want to coach anybody, I have clients who are like, I don't want to do one on one. Great. Then what else can we do that's also going to make you the same amount of money or more that you would get from one on one coaching? What I have a problem with is when someone's like, I don't want to coach anybody, and then I'm like, well, that's fine. You can do a DIY product, right? You can do a course where there's no coaching with you, there's no FaceTime with you. But if you only have 30 people on your email list, it's not enough people to get into a course to make any money. So then it's like, all right, then what are we going to do to build a list? What are we going to do to build the audience then? If we don't want to do coaching's going to be the highest ticket. It's probably going to be a little bit lower ticket. Like I look at someone like Ramit. You guys know Ramit Sethi is like a money guy. He does some personal development business stuff too, but all of his courses are like between $1,000 and $3,000, right? It's everything, all of his courses, and there is no coaching with him. There's no calls with him. There's no access to him. They are just courses. But he has a shitload of, first of all, he's been in the space for a long time. So he has the demand. So he can take a DIY course and charge $3,000 for it or charge $2,000 for it. Plus, he has a massive audience and a massive email list. So he has sort of earned the right to not do coaching. So I don't mind if you don't want to ever do coaching and you don't want to have any one-on-one clients, but then you better have an audience of people. You have to have the volume then. So it's law of trade-offs. And if you have a small audience, you're probably going to have to do some FaceTime and do some coaching with people because that's what's going to generate a higher ticket offer, which is going to give you enough money to live. And so it's a law of trade-offs. And so I wanted to say this because I do think that if we think about it hard enough, you can think right now about one or two things in your business that you're just like, you know what? I don't want to fucking do that. Even if you have to lose money, it's not worth it because it is 20% of what you're doing that you dread is pulling you all the way down. And the 80% that you barely have to think about is what you want to focus on. So in a way, we have to figure out where can we cut the extraneous stuff, the things that are taking all of my bandwidth, all of my energetic resources. Now, you might have a client that you're like, you know what? I really love this client, but they're just not paying me enough for what I'm doing. Then just increase your rate, right? You don't have to fire that client, but you can say, hey, my rates are doubling. Let me know if you'd like to continue. I love you as a client. You're fucking awesome, but they could still be an energetic drain. And you're like, all right, well, I might have to increase my prices to make it worth it to me energetically. Again, there's nothing wrong with this. This is 100% your business. You can do exactly what you want. And there's no reason why. I'm a big believer that you can make a lot of money and have massive success doing exactly what you want to do at all times. But at the end, we might not have any time and space to even have the insight. And this is something that I've definitely come to over the last couple of weeks, creating space, creating time, and really thinking strategically. There's no reason why you guys should do things in your business that you absolutely dread. Hard things, sure. Tough things, yes. Uncomfortable things, yes. But figure out a way to have success without draining all of your energy, time, and energetic battery. Good? Okay. Hopefully this makes sense. I want to do a quickie today. It did not end up being a quickie. But I'm excited you guys are here and I keep getting asked about productivity. I keep getting asked about time management, structuring my day, stuff like that. So hopefully you can pick at least one of these things you heard today and start implementing and get some results that way. So let me know. Love to hear from you guys. If you have anything you would love for me to riff on or any questions for me, shoot it over to FitBizU or at JillFit. Would love to hear that. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye, y'all.